Hey guys, welcome back to the Regal Gentleman YouTube channel at my house still. Now a very good short summer haircut. It's a good one for anyone at home who fancies having to go on somebody else or any learner barbers out there who are just starting to work with clippers. This one will be a 2 into a skin fade on the back and side. So I've shampooed and conditioned Cole's hair on this and I will dry it off to start. Now, there is my number 5 guard, so 16mm and 5/8 of an inch. And there is my number 5 Matador comb as well. That's my go-to comb that I use for the majority of haircuts that I do. So guard on, making sure it's at the true number 5, so the lever is closed, it's facing towards the blade. If you pull the lever down, that goes to a half. So what we want to do now is we want to start at the front and placing the clipper head completely flat onto the forehead. I'm working from the front all the way to the back, but just make sure you comb it all out from the crown into the true growth pattern and then go against the grain to remove the bulk. Once you've done your first trim, and after every trim with the clipper, comb back the hair into its natural place and go again. Now I'm working from the center right down the middle and I'm working over to my right hand side and working all the way around the head into the corners now. And as you can see, I'm just working it straight up into the crown really. That's a good way to go because that's where the hair grows from, the pattern grows from. And as you can see, I'm placing the comb in front of the clipper to cap off any of them hairs that I may have missed. Just lifts it and feeds it into the clipper itself. So from one side, work it, perfect it, and then move on to the other side as well. Working all over the head, making sure that you're getting all that hair. But as you can see with the number 5 length, it's quite nice because you still leave a little bit of fringe. So when you start working down, as you'll see as the video progresses, you start to see the difference in the length at the front on top as well. Okay, so as you can see, we've still left a little bit of fringe in Cole there. And I'm just working from the sides into the crown. Make sure you go from the back into the top of the head and make sure you're following the shape of the head as well. Now to cap off as well, I used to do it against the grain to start with, and then I work from side to side, so from right to left and then left to right. That just makes sure you get all the growth pattern. If there's any bits that are growing differently, you can work with the grain as well to cap everything the hairs that grow upwards as well. I'm working all the way around the crown to make sure you finish it off. So that's a number 5. As you can see, a little bit of fringe in there still. It's not mega short, but you can tell you've got a nice crop as well, which is, I think, is a really good length. So there's the profile as well. You can still see there's a nice bit of hair there, but you can tell it's a nice short crop too. So we're going to work into the sides now. Put on my number 4 guard now. Pull the lever back and create a 4.5. So we still want to try and create a leaner finish to this as well. So even when you are doing a shaved head, you want to still keep a nice bit of kind of leanness. When I say leanness, I mean like kind of a squarer finish, a more masculine finish. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to, again, like I said at the start, it's just using the guards but not creating any lines. I'm going to be working down from a 5 into a 1. So I'm not working from a 5, then a 1, then trying to blend it up and out. I'm going to do it very, very basic beginner way of going from a longer length down to a shorter length, just using clippers. I'm going to be working from the sides, I'm going to be working up and off the head, so slightly going above the round of the head to connect. Now working into my number 4 now, so close the lever, right the way down. You've got your 4.5 there when you're in between, but we're going right down to number 4 as well. So I'm working up and off the head again. So just starting from a little bit lower down, only a fraction, say 2 teeth size of a comb, a little bit lower down and working up and off. That'll blend the 4 into a 5 and the 4.5 seamlessly as well. So I'm moving on to my 3 now. That's 10mm and lever down to create a 3.5. Now working a bit lower down now, I'm working up and off the head to blend into that 4. As you can see, working up and off the head, I'm not going around the head, I'm going up and off the head. I'm going to close down to our number 3 now, so lever closed, a true number 3, and again doing the same thing, starting from a little bit lower down, up and off the head. Same thing with our number 2, lever down, 2.5, starting a bit lower down, and working up and off the head as well. So just starting to scoop out just below the round of the head. And as you can see, I changing direction to go against the grain as well. So whichever way the hair is growing, I'm going against that as well. So it could be, you have to maybe go on a bit of a diagonal, but that'll remove the length that you're looking for. Down into my 2 now, close guard, I'm working up and off. Now I'm just starting to pull away a little bit lower down now. So I'm pulling off just below the round of the head. Keeping that nice continuous movement as well. I'm pulling off a little bit lower down. Now onto my one guard now, 3mm in length. Lower the lever to a 1.5 and we're starting at the temple area now. We're working up and off. So we're going to scoop off just below the round of the head where our number 2 started. You can see I'm not going as high up now with the 1.5. I'm putting a bit lower down, but we're not creating any lines or anything like that at all. It's seamlessly blending down and we're still keeping a nice squarer shape through the corner as well. If we go too high up, that starts to create more, you remove more weight in the corner, which can start to look a bit too sort of middle heavy on the top, almost mohawk like. As you can see, just working up and off, and you see slow. If you slow it down as well, you can see I'm just pulling it up and off. Now going down to my closed one, and finishing off around the very bottom, around the full back and side, and pulling off just at the temple as well. And that way you'll create a nice lean finish. As you can see, I'm not pulling off too high now. I'm just pulling off, and I'm also turning the guard around and the clipper around, and using the, say, 2 or 3 teeth at the corner of the guard to work around the hairline as well. That removes the hair that is close to the ear. And I'm just going all the way down from the bottom and pulling off at that 1.5 into the 2. Once we've done that, I move on to my taper now. So when I'm doing my taper, guard is removed, I've got the open blade and the lever pushed down as well. So we've exposed this, so we're at a half now, not a 0. A 0 would be if the guard was closed. Now I'm working up to where the head starts to dip in. So usually on a client, it would be underneath the occipital bone, say sort of bottom to lower bottom, middle of the ear. And that's where we work up and off. Again, same technique, scooping method, up and off. Then what we do is we work lower down and we close the lever as we're working lower down. So we eventually get down to our 0. I've done a nice shallow taper. And what we'll do, we'll finish off with some scissor over comb just to make sure we perfect that blend. We work with the spine of the comb against the head and work up and off. The same idea of the clipper, working up and off the side of the head, so the round of the head is doing the blend for us, and we work up and off just to perfect as well. So I work all the way around the blending points from the 1 up into the 4 and work up and off the head just to make sure that is seamless as possible. Now, a good technique that I use as well through the top, because when you're working with larger guards, especially from say 4 onwards on most clippers, they tend to leave some hairs running through the actual guard itself. So what I do is I place the comb at the front and I aim the teeth towards the scalp, raising the spine of the comb which you cut through, and then just matching up to the length that you've cut to the top, and then just work from the front to the back in stages just to make sure you're capping off any of them hairs that you may have missed with the clipper. So now guys, we could show you a difference in variance of lengths on the top. I'm going to show you now what it would look like if you work down from a 4 into a 2 as well. So start with our 4 and doing the same principle as our number 5, but what you can see now on a number 4, it's taking away the fringe. So that's the thing, when you're working anything above a number 4, you tend to keep a little bit of fringe in there. So that's why it doesn't look as harsh. Whereas the shorter you go, the more fringe removal or the more front removal you get, which tends to give the appearance of a shorter haircut. So as you can see now, I'm doing the same thing with the number 4, working all the way around. But the key difference is, obviously it's a bit shorter, but the most noticeable difference is that the fringe is shorter. Now, same again with the 3, you're starting to notice you're going a lot more of a kind of close crop finish now as well. So the same method again, starting from the front, working all the way around, split it down into halves. One side first, then the other. Working from left to right. But you'll start to really notice now it's a very much shorter clipper finish to this now as well. Same again with the number 2. Now I think the number 2 is where you can start to see you've got a real shaved head now, which again, it's a great look if you fancy over that kind of really short, like kind of shaved look. It's not as harsh as number 1, but what's good about it is that you can still you can create a really nice blend on the sides as well. So this one will be a 2 into a skin fade on the back and sides now as well. So we do guard off, comb all the hair down, and I'm starting to place my line now as well. So I'm going to place my 0 line with our big clippers just below the temple and just placing that line in. Now we work from the sides. I tend to work from my right hand side because I'm right-handed, and we drop it down a bit at the back as well. We don't want to go for the high and tight at the back. You still want to maintain a bit of head shape at the back as well. So just drop it down and work from right to left. Place a line in on the left hand side just underneath the temple again. Make sure it matches up to the other side and meet in the middle at the back as well. Now I'm going to move on to my mini clippers now, and we're working up into that 0, because as you can see, it goes that little bit shorter as well. So there is quite a big difference in when you're using the mini clippers to when you're using your larger clippers as well. It's your hair clippers. Now what I do is I turn it around as well, teeth facing towards the scalp, and that tends to take a little bit shorter as well. So it's good for when you're starting to find detail around the ears, etc, etc, or any darker patches that you might see in a client's head. You start with the blade flat, so the teeth facing you, and then I always turn it around and face the teeth towards them and go over it again, just to go a little bit closer, that'll be more perfect. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shape up the hairline a bit at the front, give a really nice sharp finish to this fade. And the thing is, when you do start to detail the hairlines, especially around the temples when you're doing a fade, it makes that fade really, really pop out as well. So it just gives a really sharp effect to the fade too. Now obviously on a mannequin, the hairline's slightly different to a client's hairline, but you still make the most of it and just try and really sharpen that off. Just using the comb as well, just to bring that hair down to make it absolutely perfect. So as you can see, I've started to really shape that up now as well. So I'm working onto my shaver now. So I use the Braun Series 9 shaver. For me, it's by far the best shaver I've ever used. There's 4 blades, so you're getting every bit of hair. So what I'm doing now, starting on the side bend and working up into where my mini clippers finished as well. So again, same idea as when you're doing any clipper work and you want to work up into the guard, you're working up and just working up into where you started with your, say, number 1 or number 2. In this instance, it is the mini clippers. And as you can see, it goes much shorter as well when you're using a foil. You really do take it down to absolutely nothing. But again, by working up and off, same technique as you're working with the clipper, it helps to stop a very harsh line. It's very hard to get out a foil line once you place it in. So that's why you always prevention over cure. Try not to place a line in so you don't have to try and struggle to get it out. Now, once the foil's done, I'm going to start with my 0.5. And we're working in stage. I'm going to put my 0.5 line in, blend out from my 0.5 into my 0. I'm going to place another line in for our number 1, then another line in with our our 1.5. So breaking it down into stages and then just perfecting them stages as you work through. So starting with my half, working, I would say about a centimetre up from the 0 and placing a line in there as well. Working all the way around the head and leaving a line of hair just above where you can see the 0.5 has been. So I'm working down through the lever now. So on these BARBERS clippers, the Supermotor clippers, you've got little holes where the lever pops into, so it breaks down the lever. So once I've placed my half line in, I'm starting to fade the 0.5 into the 0, into the foil, using the notches on the lever as we do a blend from, say, a notch down, which will take it a little bit shorter than 0.5 and work up into our 0.5. And as I work lower down, I move the lever up slightly, and that creates a nice seamless blend. So as you see, I'm just working in little areas. It's very easy, especially if you are starting off, to get lost. So just perfect one area first, then move on to the next area around the head. And then you can also start to use the corner of the clipper itself just to feed into any darker areas there as well, just to perfect. As you see, I'm working down from that half line, working through the lever, so you eventually get down to your 0, and that should be seamlessly blended in. So now working into my number 1 now, close guard, and placing a 1 line in between the hairline and the temple of where the half line was. Do that all the way around the head. Then what I've done is I've popped on my half guard as well. This is a wall half guard, but it does attach onto the BARBERS clippers as well. Lever open, and then the same process as you're working from the half into the 0, and just close the lever the lower down you get until eventually that line is gone. A little lower down, close the lever slightly and flick up into that line you've just created, the line you've just blended from. I'm also working down and down and down till the lever's closed, and you can see the line has gone between the half and the 1. What we do now, place our 1 guard back on, so we flick our lever down so it becomes a 1.5, work that from the 1 line up and off the round of the head. So we're not going around into the number 2, we're working up and off the head. Same principles apply, 1.5 up and off the head, and then start the lower down you get to your 1 line, the higher up with the lever you become. And then what that does, it starts to transition very seamlessly into that 1 as well. So you've got a nice seamless blend. So as you see, I'm working up and off the head. I'm working through the lever until I get down to my number 1 line. And that way you start to perfect it nice and seamlessly. Now I'm just going over with the scissors just to trim around the hairline and just sharpen that off a little bit and go over any areas that I need to as well. Now you can do a good technique, it's called picking with the scissors as well. So any darker areas you see, if you pick into that, and again, you'd only do it when you're doing a short fade, below a 1 and lower. I tend to do it around the half area. It's just pick into the areas with the point of your scissor, just closing it as you're pulling away. All that does, it just takes away the kind of like the darker patch that you can see as well. So you can see I'm working on one particular area here as the mannequin hair can sometimes be placed in quite in bunches in certain areas as well, so it makes it thicker when you go so much shorter. So I just use that technique just to pick out at the thicker areas, just to create a bit more of a seamless blend. To work some scissor over comb as well, using the 1 larger side teeth, so the number 1 equivalent, just to work from that 1 up and off the head into the number 2. And again, working on my number 5 comb, which goes to a number 2 in length when pressed against the head, and just going over the top just to make sure we fine tune that number 2 on the top as well. And there you have it, guys. That is my 2 on the top into a skin fade around the sides and breaking it down into lines and stages, so it's easier to work through more than trying to create lines yourself or anything like that as well. So this is a really good beginner's way of doing a fade and even working into the advanced areas as well. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know if you think the voiceover works well for these kind of haircuts, and we can keep some coming as well. So thank you very much, guys. I'll see you soon.